Hey, let's talk about this. Many people actually did it, but not a lot of, comments. Someday it will be a viewer comment video. Yeah, viewer reaction, viewer response. But anyways, let's talk about what's going on with Saban. Saban's is it's the end. This is the last season, technically the last season he'll medal in, and he actually is producing everything. But let's just talk about the interesting part of not allowing kids to not choose to go to school or have a dislike going to school or skip school. Except technically Troy, even though giving a lecture in one episode saying we can't leave school. Even if there's a monster out there, we should stay in school. And then as soon as Robo Knight is gone, what? He skipped 3 days of school? What? So apparently, when it comes to a monster attacking and destroying a freaking city, don't go. But if a friend is in danger, look for him. Frick school. Okay. I hope you're okay with the kids learning that lesson from you. So what's going on here is what happened in the previous video, the previous episode, where we have Sarah who failed her test, her math test. She is too smart to fail a math test. Just like the other person said, if maybe history would be a good idea or English, but math or science, that's a no. And I try my hardest to figure out who can actually fit this bill. And I said maybe Levi, because Levi doesn't really have any technology experience. He just knows how to do music. And music does actually have some math in it, but not too much. But of course, I would actually like to bank on the idea of maybe for this whole entire season, maybe in season 2, Brody just doesn't give a care about school. If Brody didn't give a care about school, he started skipping school, missing classes, failing some classes when he has to be forced by his, in quotations, friends to go to school. That would be a good one, where it's like maybe he'll get lessons of where he should stay in school and crap, but it's like, it's boring, and everyone, yes, it's the truth. School is boring. School is a waste of time. Even one of my teachers said that. School technically is a waste of time. Valuable information, yes, but you're wasting 8 hours every day in school. Every freaking day, except for Saturday and Sunday, of course. So, yeah, I mean, Brody, it makes sense that he might have failed. And how about we make it history? Because Brody can do math too. Brody technically was mixed apprentice. So technically, he should know some math, meaning that, yeah, he should be like beyond what we know. So he should actually be getting straight A's in math. But I think if we would have made it a history class, that would have made more sense because he wasn't on Earth for that long. Maybe he knows the presidents and stuff, but he doesn't know like all the other stuff that we'll learn in school. Makes sense. Makes perfect sense that he will be the one that's like, oh frick. Yeah, or yeah, and get overexcited being like, yay, I did history. And it's like, oh, it's time for part 2. It's like, oh. Another thing to talk about is just Levi Weston. It's like, come on, guys. We know that kids who, I'll say kids, teenagers who actually have money, like Lil Bow Wow, his name is Bow Wow, of course, Lil Romeo, Will Smith, Miley Cyrus, Soulja Boy, they all actually had to be forced to continue school. They all actually got pushed to continue to go to school. Oh yeah, and don't forget about Jaden Smith and throw your head back and forth, Willow Smith. They all had to be pushed to go to school because they make a decent amount of money. It's like frick that. Why in the world we got to go to school? We make a decent amount of money. And of course, we got entrepreneurship and some trying to become YouTubers. Yeah, the thing is that I get that some things you should basically say, yeah, I don't need to go to school. I can break all the rules I want. No, don't break all the rules you want. But I'm just saying they have the money and they have the reasoning to just say frick school. I don't have to. Heck, even Eminem said, I'm too cool to go back. Yeah, he didn't even finish high school, I think. So, dude, and you're basically saying, oh, Levi Weston, he's a good figure for all the kids to relate to. No, he ain't. No, he ain't. It's like, come on, man, I can even dig back. It's like, let's dig back. Pretty damn sure that in space, you had 4 Rangers who went to school, and you had Andros who's around, and also Zane who's around too. They didn't join in and say, "Oh yeah, we need to go to school too." No, they freaking weren't. I think Andros more than anything was looking for Corone still, or at least trying to figure out what's to deal with Astronema. And as for Zane, he kind of had a thing for Astronema, and also he had to deal with his freaking Morpher not working that much. So it's like, yeah, I mean, they didn't really have to do that. And plus, there's lots of freaking damn seasons that I can count that actually don't actually have school involved with it. So I don't see why Levi West didn't have to still go to school even after he actually is pretty damn famous. And if things were real, if we're going real, instead of like the last episode where it's like, oh, we got to do something real. In reality, he should have been moved out of school. They should have been saying, hey, how about because the paparazzi is here, all the students can't study because you're here, we'll give you a GED just to leave. It's like, that's how it goes. Like, you'll give it a GED, or heck, just get your GED because there's too much traffic in our school. And we don't really want to deal with anything, especially being on a news site, you know, getting attention like that. So they'll basically be like, yes. But on the other hand, you can always come back when it comes to charity auctions and stuff like that. It's like, that sounds like what a school would do. But instead, somehow he gets to stay in school and he's okay with it. It's like Brody and Levi most likely shouldn't be okay with school. They technically shouldn't be okay with school at all. Maybe Brody because he was up there in space as a slave. As for Levi, it is a nice breather, but he got damage control to do technically. Because remember, he got abducted by Lady Odious, Madame Odious. He got abducted by her. And he's missing for a few months. The freaking fans don't know where he went and everything else. It's like, yeah, he gave a concert somewhat. He gave 2 concerts. He gave 1.5 concerts. He did 1 signature signing. That's it. And then, of course, now, for 2 episodes, he did do signings, but that was like a small freaking. Personally, I think what should be happening is the following, where he actually is just, he's around the city, he's just thinking of new music, and he's just playing around the city, you know? If people come and say, oh my gosh, Levi Weston, and they sit down as he actually is playing a few songs, you know, just to make sure that his chops is okay, and then he goes elsewhere and actually hides and actually write music, you know? That makes sense. Like he's playing in a park, and then all of a sudden a monster shows up. That would be a cool one for Doom Wolf or Dreadwolf. That would be a good time for Dreadwolf to show up and be like, "Urgh," and everyone's like, "Oh my fucking god!" Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying. The moments where he actually's out there, he's able to see the monster, able to connect everyone instead of the freaking damn prison being like, "Oh, there's a." It's like the prison sometimes help, but doesn't really do that much. I'm just saying, Levi Weston would be the eyes on the lookout just in case a monster shows up. And that makes much more sense than how are they knowing again? Yeah, they really don't explain how in the world do they know. I mean, the prism isn't like the viewing globe at all. So it's like, how do they know that the city's getting attacked or something like that? It's like, yeah, you need eyes outside. But, and of course, let's go to, of course, Victor and Monty. Victor and Monty are not freaking role models. Since they're not role models, I think they should have kept the company, continued rolling, because at least that would have been funnier, where they are actually now trying to get footage of their repellent working on monsters. Yeah, it's like, yeah, so they got a few refunds, but not a lot of people can get their refunds back. It's like, not a lot of people care about it. Someone would be like, oh, it doesn't work? Yeah, whatever. Because what they paid for it? $9.99 plus shipping and handling? Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's many people out there who get screwed over like that too. And there's many people who don't give a shit. So just saying. And plus they could easily have just made one, and it's like, yeah, the dad, I always will talk about the lawyer. The dad's lawyer should have stepped in and be like, listen, as you can see, the monster you sprayed upon must be powerful, right? You don't go to Raid and say, hey Raid, your cockroach spray doesn't work. It's like, no. And they'll show you yourselves. It's like, oh, here's a super extra strength one. And that's what you need to do is actually wait for them to get super strength one, and that one actually works on a few monsters. It's like you got to know which one's powerful and which one's weak enough to actually use that. And plus, it's like no one cries about pepper spray not truly working or crap. But yeah, they should have actually stayed out of school. That would have helped so many freaking damn episodes. As for the one where he actually turned into a werewolf and crap, that one might not actually happen. But on the other hand, it would be kind of cool where he just he's it's like, come on, Victor and Monty would be such jerks where they just show up in the school because they gave $1 million. It's like they're donors. They can do whatever the hell they want. So what they do, that one episode where Victor actually gets picked up by a freaking model lady, well, he actually is there flaunting that he has millions of dollars and he's just eating there for hours on end, just basically being a jerk to him, saying, I'm better than you. Eating that burger. They're like, look at me. I can spend 8 hours right here in the patio, enjoying the sun, enjoying the environment, while you're inside listening to the teacher, doing those tests. It's like that paints freaking Victor and Monty in a better way of being total jerks. It's like they're jerks. Right now they're jerks. But if you would have done this where they had a company, that they actually are running a company that works, and they just have to do more stuff, and they're still getting money in from people who are like, oh, the repellent works, especially if they actually get like more footage. Yeah, it would have been very, very better. It would have been much better if they actually went with the idea of stepping it up a notch instead of, oh, Victor and Monty's still in school, let's do more of those hijinks. It's like, no, if this is season 2, you gotta step it up a notch. Instead, you do this. I really hope that the next time around, all this time, especially when it comes to the, you know, they're in school and crap, they could actually be a little bit considerate and say, hey, this character doesn't need to be in school. This character doesn't really need to be in school, or it just adds to their character. Like Brody, for instance, where he's like, I don't really care about school. Maybe I care about body shop, carpentry and crap. It's like he cares about that, but everything else, like science is interesting, math is interesting, history's boring as shit. It's like history's boring as shit. Social studies boring as shit. What are the ones? English. Who gives a It's like, yeah, who gives a man? It's like, I don't need to write. I'm gonna be a freaking damn ninja. It's like, I don't need to freaking damn write. I don't need to know how to write and crap. Yeah, that's all.